right, so welcome. This is John Santucci from TCPalm.com. This, of course, is Dennis. I love the movie Jaws. Jacob, are you a Jaws fan?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I could watch that movie all day. So thank you. We are at Sebastian River High School, of course, home of the Sharks. If you couldn't tell by that song, you need to watch more movies. We're here with Ron Freeman, Jerez Parks, and Coach Kevin Pettis. We'll get to them in a moment. But Dennis, let's look back at our very abbreviated Week 7, all 2 games that have been played so far. A couple will be made up. Your thoughts from last night's games?
Well, I think the biggest surprise had to be St. Lucie West Centennial's stunning win over South Fork. You look at the stats of that game. Centennial going into the game in his first 5 games had rushed for 280 yards total. Last night, 356. Terrific effort all the way around. Nick Hernandez, 187 yards, 3 touchdowns. Chris Smith also had over 100 yards rushing. You know, at 0-5 and having been outscored 176-8 and shut out 4 games in a row, it's really easy for a team in that position to just mail it in the rest of the way. Great tribute to Centennial's kids and coaches, not giving up and getting a great win to show for it.
I agree. I was at that game. The offensive and defensive lines were absolutely dominant. And the fact that they did give the effort they did after being shut out since August, which is just unbelievable to think about. Great job by their coaching staff to get those kids prepared. I loved what Okeechobee did on defense. Again, Okeechobee's defense, with the exception of what these guys were able to do at Sebastian River, their defenses look fantastic the last 2 weeks. 6 points against Heritage. Last night, a shutout, 4 interceptions. Every time Westwood threw the ball, it went the other way. So their defense was great. Now, Dennis, let me ask you this. So we have a couple games that will not be made up. Some kids are going to lose games. I know I've talked to Coach Pettis about this. He's a big proponent of making sure the kids get a full schedule. What do you think? Should these games be made up? Should coaches be making an effort to get these kids games?
I think anytime you ask for the commitment that coaches ask of these kids, all the practices and workouts, summer stuff, what have you, I think you owe it to them to reward them with the fullest schedule possible. I love the fact that Fort Pierce Central went out and found a game against 3-time defending 3A champion Jacksonville Trinity Christian, and they're going to play that this week. We'll talk about that later. But I think it's always important to reward the kids for their commitment. If you're going to ask for that commitment, give it back in return. If you can play 10 games, play 10 games, or in St. Lucie County's case, 9 games.
Which is ridiculous, by the way, that they only get to play 9 games. Last year, Coach Pettis said, look, their game with Centennial was canceled. I think you said, let's meet in a parking lot. I don't care. We'll play at the mall if we have to.
That might, by the way, be one of the great lines in area history when it comes to making games up.
This guy has some good one-liners. You can't catch MJ McGriff in a phone booth, that kind of a thing. But I haven't seen a phone booth in a long time. Maybe that's why. But you got to play. I love that Matt Helmrich is sitting on the phone. Last Tuesday, we're there, and he's like, listen, if Jensen Beach cancels on us, we have to get another game because the kids need it. It's sad to see some other coaches just sitting back and going, oh, another bye week. I think that's terrible because you're demanding the kids practice just as much, give you just as much, but you're not going to give them the same in return. I don't like that.
No,
so,
I don't either.
All right, Dennis, huge week of games this week. I think it's another Separation Friday. What's the game you're most looking forward to?
I'm going to take the District 6 7A game between Martin County and Viera. Less than a year ago, Martin County made that trip to Viera for a second-round playoff game and got wiped out 47-17. How much have the Tigers improved since that? Can they handle a Viera team that's played a great schedule? It remains to be seen, although you look at the way Austin Kirkendall has thrown the football this year, terrific. They've got great receivers in Nuka Martin and George Johnson. They don't run the ball all that well, but just enough to keep things honest. Can they stop Viera? That's the big question. They couldn't do it last year. If they can't do it this year, they'll have no chance of winning the district title.
Absolutely, and for me, I think it's going to be Vero Beach and Treasure Coast in District 8A. Treasure Coast comes off that huge triple overtime win. They were off last week anyways. Vero Beach absolutely pounded Centennial 2 weeks ago. So just a very different style for each team. Treasure Coast is going to play it, that single wing look. They're going to run the ball on first down, second down, third down. If they get to fourth down, they're going to run the ball again. If they were given another down, they'd run it on that down too. Vero Beach is so multiple in what they do. They're able to run the ball. They're able to throw it. If Treasure Coast can keep Vero Beach's offense off the field, I think we're having a great game there. So I'm looking forward to that. Dennis, we're here at Sebastian. They haven't been scored on since, the first week in September, I think, something like that. 4 straight shutouts. They don't even know that they're here. Our hype men are going like this, and they're just silent. Hey, they're on cue. It's early. This is an early one. We're not here after lunch. They haven't had their Lunchables yet. How good is this defense when you've been around the area for a very long time? How good is this defense ranks at this point?
Well, right now it's on pace to be one of the best ever. You know, when you have 4 shutouts in 5 games, you know, most places they want to hold up the number 1. Around here they hold up the number 0 because they don't allow any points. 10 points and only 180 rushing yards total through 5 games. When you can play that kind of defense, you can win every game.
I think from what I've seen, and I've said this before, and you know, Vero Beach parents will kill me on Twitter for saying this, but I think this is the best defense I've seen since I've been on the Treasure Coast. Speed everywhere. I think 2 of the guys. This guy in the middle has been an absolute terror for offensive linemen, but I think the guys that have really kind of sealed up everything for them have been Raheem Lane and Demarius Bellamy. I think those 2 additions in the offseason have been phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about Lane. I don't know if he's here, but just playing phenomenal football this year. So let's get to these guys. Ron, I'm going to ask you to grab that. Ron Freeman, number 4 on the TC Palm Super 11. Bowling Green commit. You still set to Bowling Green?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There you go. What do you think makes this defense so special?
Honestly, we don't like to run. On Mondays, and Coach tells us, like, if you don't give up no points, we ain't got to run. So my boys come out to play. That's why I feel like we good.
So it's not that you want to get shutouts, you just don't like running. That's.
I honestly think that. I ain't gonna lie to you.
It's the weirdest thing I've heard. All right, got to ask you this. Would you rather beat Vero Beach, which has never happened regular season, or would you rather win the first playoff game in Sebastian River history, if you had to pick one? Both is not a would you rather.
Man, I say playoff game, honestly. Because Vero, it's a rivalry here, but playoff game, we can go to state. We beat Vero, it ain't nothing. It's just something we got to do. It's a scheduled game.
How much does that game mean to you to play Vero that last game? How tough was that to lose that game last year?
Oh, that was real tough. That was like the first time I cried. That was the first time I cried. We came out, we held them out, and then they scored us like a last, 35 seconds?
52.
52 seconds. It was hard for all of us.
Yeah. Jerez, we're going to bring in Jerez Parks, number 1 on the Super 11. We're hoping to say that he would. We were hoping to pull a little swerve and say that Jerez had a major announcement today, but he wouldn't let us do that. Hey, what's the process been like for you, the recruiting process over the last couple of years?
The process has been like pretty hectic, dealing with, communicating with coaches, but still maintaining what we have to do here as with my football team, and then me balancing school and everything outside of it. But we're still getting through it, so can't complain.
Besides not liking running, why do you think this defense has played the way it has so far?
I think we've played the way as well, due to our brotherhood that we have with each other, and counting on each other, knowing that everyone will get their job done, and it all come together as a machine.
I've been to a couple practices. You guys hit hard in practice. What do you guys feel like? Is there a sense of competition as much as in games when you're in practice?
In a sense, you're just going to be more physical than the person lying in front of you, regardless if we're at practice. It transfers to on the game field, because you don't know them at all, and you don't want to know them. Well, we don't want to know whoever we're playing against. But we work hard on what we do when it comes to hitting, and regardless of what we do.
Either one of you guys, you played very well defensively. I was talking to Coach Pettis about this before. You played very well against Heritage last year, and it seemed like you'd stop them 2 or 3 plays in a row, and then they'd just break a long one out of nowhere. How much of that have you guys thought about that this week?
It won't happen again.
That's good enough, Coach. Let's hear from Coach. Thanks, Jerez. I appreciate it.
Coach Pettis, you were 3-11 in your first 14 games here, and now 16-5 in the last 21. Was there ever a time during those early struggles where you thought, "Hey, maybe it's not going to come together," or were you confident all along that the pieces would finally fall into place?
Well, that's a tough question.
Notice the long pause.
Well, no, I've always trusted the process, and this isn't the first program that we've taken over and turned around. We've been at several different programs that were 0-10 and all. It was the first time that I've taken over a program that was a district champion, and then having to kind of rebuild from there. But I've always trusted the process. There is a process to doing it, and so yeah, I knew it would happen. I call year one year zero because you know, it was just a difficult year, but everything else has been kind of, you know, trucking right along where we thought it would be. We knew we had to get the kids in the weight room and do the things that we do to make us a tougher team, you know, mentally and physically. But so it was. So I did think that I got this guy over here dabbing, which is distracting. But if we're going to dab, let's dab together. Right? Anyway, but no, you know, it was a. But we're where we need to be. You know, I wish it would have happened quicker because there were times where, you know, when you're in the middle of it, you don't know where you've come from. You don't, you know, so you kind of get caught up in the right now. But, you know, you really, for anybody that's out there rebuilding the program, you gotta, you know, you gotta just keep doing what you're doing, keep chopping and keep churning, and, you know, the results happen. I mean, God blesses the labor of your hands, and so we just decided we're going to outwork people.
You know, you look at this defense, 4 shutouts in 5 games, 3 in a row. And I think earlier I said 180 rushing yards allowed total. I think it's more like 130 that you've allowed in the first 5 games. 88 total yards a game. Obviously there's talent there, but what is it about this unit as a whole that makes it so tough to score?
Well, you know, I think what Ron said is true. They hate running. And so when we do penance on Monday, everything we do wrong on a Friday night, we run a 100-yard sprint for it. But we don't run penance on shutouts. So, you know, once they figured that out, they started playing harder. You know, they started getting onto the special. Now I got people volunteering for special teams. They don't want to give up a special teams touchdown. You know, so, but you know, I'm still mad about the one we didn't get the shutout. But we'll talk about that later. But you know, I think what makes this defense such a complete unit is a lot of what Drez said. They play so well together. They understand the entire defense. You know, all the defensive linemen. All the defensive linemen, they understand what the linebackers are doing. The linebackers understand what the D linemen are doing. So our run fits and our run windows and things like that, you know, they understand the defense, and they spend a lot of time on film. We watch film a lot. And so I think that's, you know, kind of great players make great coaches, you know, and so all those things mixed together has helped us become, you know, a pretty decent group.
You've primarily run the ball on offense. I think you've thrown for, what do I have here, 111 yards passing, no, 133 yards passing. That's the second fewest in the Treasure Coast. Moving forward, do you have to get more? Do you think you have to get more out of the passing game to be have a chance to be more successful down the road?
Not if we want to be last, we don't. No, but
I do like the number 0.
I think that we, you know, I say this all the time. I love it when my coaches are on the headsets and they say, "Coach, they got 11 people in the box." My response is, "So do we." We got 11 people in there too, you know. So, you know, we tell our guys all the time, our running backs, be your own blocker. You know, BYOB, be your own blocker. Get out there and make some things happen. That being said, I don't know that you have to throw it, but you have to be creative when you run it. You know, and so I think that in 2009, you're the stat guy. D-Land went to the state championship, and we ran the ball 94% of the time. I mean, we just ran the ball, but we were creative in running it. So I don't know that you always have to be, you know, we watch NFL and we watch college football when everybody's like, you got to throw the ball. You know, it helps. But if you can run it creatively, then I think it does the same thing. So, you know, I'm not committed to running the ball. People say I'm not committed to running it. I'm not committed to throwing it. I'm committed to winning. And whatever it takes on a Friday night, if I can, the ebb and flow of the game, if I feel like running the football is going to help us win, then we're going to run the football. I remember after a Centennial game a few years ago, John Santucci, a great sports reporter for the TC Palm. Anyway, he comes up to me and he said, "Coach, why did you give Emmanuel Reed the ball 48 times?" I said, "Because the clock ran out and I couldn't give it to him 49. So, I mean, to me, I just want to win football games. I mean, and play great defense. And so whatever keeps us in the best situation on a Friday night is what we're going to do. And if I thought throwing the ball every down would help us win every game, I'd throw it every down. So, you know, we just kind of play to what our skill set is and go from there.
Coach, last question. It's you look at the standings right now. You look at the area standings. Sebastian River 5-0, just down the road at Vero Beach. They're 6-0. You guys playing the final regular season game. I know coaches are creatures of habit. They don't like to look very far ahead, but is it hard to get that out of the back of your mind, the possibility of unbeaten versus unbeaten at the end of the regular season?
Well, it's not anything we think about. It's not anything we talk about. I think that, if we were fortunate enough to make it to that game, Vero Beach unbeaten, I think it'd be great for Sebastian River. You know, I can't really talk about what they do at the school down south. It's more what we do here, you know, so it's not about who we play, it's about how we play. And so, you know, I think that if both schools go into it, you know, unbeaten, I think it'd be great for our community. I think that, you know, for Indian River County to be the epicenter of high school football in 2016, I think it's great for Indian River County and the school district of Indian River County, and ultimately that's what it's all about.
Coach, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I think, by the way, that would be just a monster game. I know Westwood and Central a couple years ago were both 8-0 going into Showdown. I would absolutely love to see, I've said this before and I don't mind saying it again, I think if Vero and Sebastian were one school, they'd be the state champ, no doubt.
I don't think there's any question about it.
So I just think it'll be, again, a very different contrast of style. So let's stay in week 8 though, what we have of week 8. PSL Westminster Christian, how do you see this one playing out?
Well, I think the Jaguars are going to build a little momentum here. They're going to surpass their win total from the last 2 years combined. They're going to win this game 21-20.
Yeah, I think Port St. Lucie pulls out a close one. I think it's going to be 24-21 there for the Jaguars. Okeechobee Bayside.
This will not be a 65-58-5 overtime epic as it was a year ago when Okeechobee won. This time I think the Brahmins are going to roll. They're really playing well. They're going to go to 5-1, 41-10.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have any problem. The offense looked great last night. I think 37-0. I think that game will end
one
up.
other thing to point out, Bayside's lost 18 in a row, so it's kind of hard to expect that they would bounce back.
And Bayside will be here Monday, correct? These guys are getting ready to play 3 games in 8 days. They're stoked about that. St. Ed's, Jupiter Christian. Winner wins the Coastal Atlantic Division of the Sunshine Athletic Conference.
Both teams are 2-0 in the district or in the division, and the winner's going to have, I believe, a home game for the first round of the SSAC playoffs. I just love the way that St. Edward's is played. They don't have a lot of kids out there, but the ones that are there play with such amazing heart and effort. And I think they're going to wind up winning a division title here, 27-24.
Yeah, St. Ed's, I think, wins this one 33-21. I just love the way they're running the ball with Brian Manella and Daniel Walsh. Westwood Suncoast. Suncoast can wrap up their second consecutive district title. Do they do that Friday night?
Well, funny thing, a year ago, this game was decided on a touchdown pass with 4 seconds to go. Suncoast winning. This year, the Chargers will have a little bit easier. Westwood is still trying to find itself. Shut out for the second game in a row. So I look for Suncoast to win this game 24-12.
I will say this. Okeechobee and Treasure Coast have better defenses than Suncoast does. So I don't think that Westwood will get shut out. I just don't think that they're there yet. I think it's going to be Suncoast 24-17. I do think it'll be close. John Carroll MCC. Rivalry game, district game, MCC can wrap up a district title. Your thoughts?
I just think that Melbourne Central Catholic, this is the oldest private school rivalry involving a Treasure Coast team. It goes all the way back to, I believe, 1962 or 63. But the deal here is that Melbourne Central Catholic has scored 242 points so far. They score every week. They score. And I think John Carroll's just going to have trouble keeping up. It's not that John Carroll doesn't have players. I just think Melbourne Central Catholic has shown they can score on everyone. I think they win this game 35-17.
Now, John Carroll hasn't played since, I want to say, September 23rd or 19th, something like that. That's a long layoff.
It's like a 20-day break. I think anytime you have that kind of a break, it's tough because you kind of get rusty. You don't want to keep hitting each other day after day and no game on the horizon. You look at no game and you want to get out there and play. Kids want to play. And when you go that long, you kind of wonder what you're going to get when you get out there. And they play well, but they also may struggle.
I think MCC's offense is just going to be too much in this game. I think it'll be 40-24 MCC. Jensen Beach, Ogg Alley.
This is the big one. Both teams are 1-1 in District 14 6A, so the winner here improves his playoff hopes and the loser is in big trouble. I think Jensen Beach will prevail 21-14 in a very, very competitive game.
You know, Ogg Alley's been scoring a lot of points. I wonder, it's so bad I can only see his Twitter handle, but Tyrese Jackson, is he going to be healthy for this game? He got banged up against these guys a couple weeks ago. If Ty's there, I think Jensen Beach wins. If not, I do think Ogg Alley wins. I'm going to say either way, the final score is going to be 28-21. So flip a coin as far as if he's healthy or not. South Fork, Melbourne. Can South Fork bounce back after the loss last night?
Well, if they don't, their playoff hopes will be over. They've lost 3 out of 4 after a 2-0 start. I think this is the game in which they get back into a groove and start winning. That was a winnable game last night or Monday night. I think they bounce back well against Melbourne. A Melbourne team that played Vieira close for a while and then got gave up 52 points. Look up, South Fork's going to win this game 30-19.
I think Melbourne's going to look at what Centennial did and try to replicate it. They're going to try to run the ball down South Fork's throat. I would, if after watching that game. I do think South Fork quarterback Stilton Banowitz is going to basically make sure his team does not lose. I think it'll be 45-31 South Fork. I think this will be a high-scoring game. Central Trinity Christian. Does Central have the toughest 3A schedule in the state?
Well, they've already played Tampa Catholic, which is a perennial 3A team that plays very well. But Trinity Christian has won 3 consecutive state titles in 3A. They're 84-12 since the start of 2008 or 2009. So this is a team that knows how to win.
Right.
But I think Fort Pierce Central is eager to get back on the field after the loss to Treasure Coast. I think the long trip will pay off with a victory. I think it'll be a great game. I think Central wins 24-22.
Wow. I'm sorry. I think that's an upset. I think Trinity Christian at home. I want to see how Central comes back after that loss. That's still hanging over their heads, that triple overtime loss. I think Trinity Christian wins this one 24-21. Martin County Vieira, the game you spoke about earlier, who wins this one?
Well, the winner's in the driver's seat for the district title. And Martin County lost at home last year in the regular season by 3 points, but then got blasted, as we noted earlier in the playoff game. So they've got to be able to prove they can win on the road. If you want to do some damage in the playoffs, it's always best to be at home. And Martin County hasn't won a district title since 2006, and the only one they've won since '91 was in 2006. So this is the game for them. You know, they've had a great year so far, 5-1 start, 5 consecutive wins. Austin Kirkendall throwing the ball all over the park, on pace to possibly throw for 3,000 yards. But this is the game. This is the prove-it game. If they're really the team that they look like they could be, this is the game to prove it. I think Vieira still pulls it out 21-17, but it will be a thriller.
I think the question is Martin County's offensive line. They're going to see the best front seven they've seen probably since the spring game against these guys. Can they hold off that defensive line that's just racking up sacks left and right? I think it'll be close. I think Vieira is going to win this one, though, 21-14.
But here's the thing to always remember in a game like this: turnovers can be a big, can be the big key. If you can force turnovers, that kind of changes the whole complexion of every game. So that's going to be key for Martin County as well.
Treasure Coast and the school that shall not be named, I guess, here at Sebastian River.
No, they call it the school to the south. Isn't that what it was?
I don't know. Apparently too much Hogwarts here. Anyways, Treasure Coast, Vero Beach. How do you see this one?
Well, Vero Beach breezed to an easy win last year, and I have trouble thinking it's going to be a total reversal. I do think Treasure Coast will come ready to play. I think they will try to do what they did against Fort Pierce Central, which is control the football, pound away, keep that high-scoring Vero Beach offense parked on the sidelines. If they can do that, this game could go down to the wire. But if Vero Beach does what it has done in every game, get great play from quarterback Mike Dean in that offense and just score, then I think they're going to take another step towards another district title. I look for Vero Beach to win this game 31-14.
I think this will be a much better game than I think a lot of people are expecting. Last year, Treasure Coast defense absolutely held Vero Beach in check for the first half, and then I think they just got exhausted because the offense wasn't getting first downs. I think the offense will perform better. I think Vero Beach will win this one, but I think it'll be 21-14. I think it'll be a lot closer than people think. Somebody just said nah, but he's not playing in that game, so it's okay. Heritage Sebastian River, the game that everybody actually cares about.
You know, I'll say the same thing. I think this is a big game for Sebastian River. If you want to do some damage in the playoffs, it's always best to start at home. So you want to win the district if you can. I'll win here, put Sebastian in the driver's seat to win a district title. I think that Heritage has been pretty good defensively. They haven't allowed that many points, but I think Sebastian River's defense is just so top grade. I can't imagine Heritage being able to break through. They only scored. Remember, Heritage only had a first quarter touchdown against Okeechobee, did not score the rest of the way, and Sebastian River beat Okeechobee 35-0. I know you can't do comparative scores, it doesn't always work that way, but I love the way Sebastian River's defense is playing. I look for the Sharks to win this one 14-0.
Wow.
Shutout number 5.
You know, I look at that and I go, you know, one of the things, you know, they won 7-0 2 weeks ago against Jensen Beach. The offense didn't score. I don't think that's going to sit well with them. I think that Danwell Oscar is going to have a big game. I think the defense is going to do what it does. I think this one's going to be 28-0 Sebastian River. Oh. And we don't... they didn't do that when we picked Vero.
Well done.
You know, we don't pick a lot of shutouts. Usually, it's just it's so hard to get a shutout. The reality is, though, with these guys, I mean, it's basically a college defense, and they're just not going to see too many teams that are going to score on them this year. That's it for us. We want to hear back from you guys all week. Hashtag TC Prep Zone, at Dennis Jacob 80, at John Santucci, at Ron Freeman III. Right. At The Game is Killer, Delander KP, SHRHS, whatever. See ya.
See ya.